she would be like the female version of Jacques Cousteau doing scuba diving stuff with the seals.
Get out! Oh my goodness! You would never expect that. Did you think that, Steve?
Sometimes it's the most brilliant people in the world have some of the darkest, meanest streaks in them, and sometimes people know how to channel that darkness into something positive, and this is clearly what Rhonda knows how to do. And like I said, when she does ride off into the sunset, she's probably going to be just as busy when she retires as she was when she was a fighter. We're talking about films. Yeah, she'll probably still be doing the films, but I think there's more to Ronda Rousey than just fighting, than just movies and stuff like that. I've been following her. I first came across her was the Joe Rogan podcast, and the Juno story sold me on Ronda before I even seen her fight. And it was like since then, just watching this progression of her over the last 3-4 years or so, and it's just I couldn't be happy for her. And like I said, there's more to her than just fighting, than just movies.
Oh yeah, she's a really
she is the all well-rounded package. Now wait, can she cook? I know the guys out there are like, can she cook? Can she cook?
I don't know that I've ever seen Rhonda cooking anything. I mean, she used to live by herself and she didn't starve to death. So, she went through some vegan phase where she was eating, only eating stuff that was vegan. So she must pick that stuff for herself because I'm not vegan and I wasn't going to cook separate meals for everybody. So, but, I mean, she's really, really, really busy. So that's not something to spend time on.
Well, I'm going to get this out of there before I forget about it. My daughter wanted me to say something to you, and she just wanted to say hi. And when are you guys going to come out here to the East Coast, particularly the Philadelphia area, for some training? Because she would love to be able to train with you and possibly Rhonda at some point in time. Are there any possible judo seminars coming in the area?
The only stuff I'm thinking about my schedule right now, this month I'm in North Dakota where we're doing game testing and meeting with teachers. And in March, I'm giving a keynote address in Central California at some young women's conference. And in April, I'm giving a talk at a SaaS software conference in Texas. But that's all I know of right at the moment, but things pop up all of the time. There's probably 7 things I forgot. So at the moment, we're not planning on doing out on the East Coast, but that could change tomorrow.
Now, do you think that Rhonda? Do you think Rhonda will be retiring anytime soon? I know that there's rumors. Is she talking about that? Is she thinking about that?
Well, she's thinking about it in the sense that obviously you don't see people 65 in the UFC.
Right,
so
yes.
I think, she's got a contract. I know there's probably a couple of fights left on it. But, yeah, fighters don't have a long career. So
no, it's
that's
definitely not.
Always in the back of her mind. And she's also, the other fighters laughed at her when she was, first thing she did when she started getting a decent payday was open up like an IRA, a retirement account. And one of her friends was laughing at her about it, and she says, you know what? When we're both 55, you can come over to my house, and I will buy you a steak dinner with my retirement fund that I have long after that flashy car you rusted out.
I like her already. No, I've already been like her, but, I thought that Gina Carano and Rhonda were going to fight eventually. Do you think that'll ever happen? Are they even talking about it anymore?
Not that I know of. It seemed like it would be a really good fight if Gina really wanted to come back and train. I think she was coming back and training for a while, so I don't know what happened to it. Maybe she just got other offers for movies. I don't know.
Okay.
I know they're talking about.
Yeah, I believe Gina. They just booked Gina for the next Kickboxer remake with George St. Pierre and Jean-Claude Van Damme has some part of it, so that should be interesting.
What? Claude's coming back into the scene? Oh, no. Wow, that's really cool.
Now, I mean, one thing I wanted to touch on before we continue to just go over everything here is the reason why we set up this interview tonight was, the wonderful people over at Armbar Nation had informed us that Rhonda and her younger sister are doing a memoir, doing a book. And
her older sister doing a book. Her younger sister's 16. That would be pretty impressive.
Aww.
Okay,
and she's very close to her sister.
Oh yeah, Rhonda's a very good big sister.
Now, to your best guesstimation, what do you think the book's going to cover? Subject matter, topics, anything that you think of?
Well, I don't know, but I already told them that there's going to be too much sex in it to suit me because any amount at all would be too much to suit me. So.
Mama don't want to hear about that aspect.
No, and I didn't read. They actually were over here one day and taping some of it, and then another day they left the tape recorder here, and Maria asked me to erase everything that was on it and whatever they needed and written that part up. And you would have think I would have listened to it, but to me that's kind of like reading your kid's diary. That you may be sorry what you find out. And now I'm suspecting with this book, I may be sorry some of what I find out, but I will probably read it when it comes out anyway. Rotten kids, they better give me a free copy, too.
I'm sure that won't be an issue. I'm sure you'll actually, I would be surprised if you get your eyes on it before most people do, but that's just my personal guess.
I made the suggestion that the theme of the book should be My Mother Was Awesome, but no one seemed to be going along with that. So. But you know what, though? I told them both, and I think this is true of anybody. I think you never appreciate the stuff that your parents do for you until you have children yourself. And so here's my just speculation. When it's one thing to say, I help and my family helped me and my mom helped me and my coach helped me, but probably until you coach yourself, you don't realize the extent to which they did help you, and I think the same when you have kids, until you're a parent yourself, you don't realize the extent to which other people helped you because, it's not just the stuff that you know about when you're, before you have kids, that, somebody taught me how to do this arm bar and somebody, drove me to practice, but you don't think about all of the 1,000 other things that are kind of unseen that, somebody worked so many hours overtime so they could pay for me to travel to Europe and go to camp or just like the stupidest little things. Like yesterday, my daughter Julia, who plays soccer, called me and said she had forgotten her soccer shoes at home. Now she goes to boarding school, so she went back and she's up there. And so I had to go find the latest FedEx delivery you can possibly find in L.A., and thank God we live in L.A., and go and FedEx them to her so she would have them for the game. And, you just multiply that 1,000,000 times. And I think every parent does that of every child, and that's just squared if your child is an elite athlete or if they're, an elite violinist or in anything. And I think people don't realize that until they have kids of their own. Mm-hmm. It's like Maria said to me, before I had children.
I wholeheartedly agree. I definitely appreciate the things my mother did more now that I have a 3-year-old son, I have a 7-year-old daughter, and I have a 13-year-old stepdaughter. So I definitely appreciate the things my mother did for me more now than I did when I was that 21, 22-year-old kid. Like yeah, whatever, Mom.
Well, and it's not just the things they did for you. It's like Maria said, when I was younger, I appreciated that my mother gave me birth. And now that I have my own children, I appreciate that she didn't kill me all of those times that I had it coming. So, yeah, that will be interesting, too, to see how much of that gets in the book. The times that, somebody was very offended that I said this, that it's only because I'm such a good Catholic that there are times with each of my children that's the only thing that's kept me from setting them on fire and throwing them into San Monica Bay. I'm sure there's a commandment against it. I'm sure your children are perfect, though, yes?
Well, I mean, you do a lot, not just not just with your kids and your family, but in life in general. Like as you were already touching on that, you have the game that you guys have been working on for a while now. How's that? How's the educational game coming along there?
It's really amazing. We had the latest release of Spirit Lake, which is our first game, came out yesterday. So we did the 2015 version, and then we have our second game, Fish Lake, that's coming out in a few weeks. And I was just talking to people in our office today about how far we've come since we did our first Kickstarter campaign. And you get this idea and think, oh, I could do this. And to go from there to something that actually is a real product that people are playing, that kids are saying, oh, can I, kids that we have come in their office to test it will say, can we come back tomorrow after school? And this is a math game. And it's come so far. And it's kind of like being an athlete in a way when you're a kid and, you're first learning to do something, and there's nobody wants to help you really, because nobody's really that interested in, teaching the kids to play Little League baseball. And then when you're in the major leagues, when you're in UFC, everybody is your new best friend. And, you remember those people that helped you out when you were at the beginning. And it was kind of like that with the company, several years ago, a couple of years ago when we started this out. It was so rough, and now it's really, really good, and everybody is interested. So that's good. I mean, I appreciate it. I appreciate the number of people who heard about it. But the people who backed us at the beginning have a special place in my heart.
Mm-hmm. Aww.
No, that's not it too. Which I'm sure Rachel doesn't know that. Also a lot of the charity type stuff that Rhonda does was brought on by you, if I remember correctly. The free rice stuff, that's something that you started.
I think it was me and her youngest sister. So that started years ago. She's been doing that for years, and I think Julia was in elementary school and doing some free rice thing for school, and Rhonda thought she was cutting weight at the time. And she said, I'm hungry. And then she said, how much would it suck to be hungry every day? And so that was the first free rice campaign she did. It sucks to be hungry, which obviously free rice people should have thought of that, right? Where they're part of the United Nations World Food Program. And yes, they've raised, I'm sure, well over 100 million grains of rice for this, for the World Food Program. And they do it every time she has a fight. So tomorrow, tomorrow, the next one starts. So they start 6 weeks. They started a number of weeks before. So when she's in camp, they'll start on a Friday because the weigh-ins are on Friday. And then every week they'll give out prizes to people who raise the most rice. And, it's raised, I think the latest number was 158 million grains of rice. Pretty crazy.
That's awesome. And all started over something so simple, and it's turned into something like that, because that's like, I remember every time that Rhonda's in camp, but as you mentioned, it's like her driving force there. So,
well, I think it's good to look beyond yourself and say, oh, I'm so hungry, and we talk about that a lot. The problems that pretty much most people in this country have are not real problems. I mean, there are parts of the country where it's unsafe and that, but by and large, if you live in America, you're not starving. You're not, it's not like in some of these countries where they're at war and you're worried about walking down the street and, that all of a sudden mortars are going to go off. So really the problems we have are fairly minor. And to step out of yourself and think about that and think that there are all sorts of areas, Syria is one that comes to mind, but there are all sorts of areas around the country that are in crisis where people are starving, and to try to stop and think about in our privileged lives about that and, do something. And not just click like on Facebook. Oh, God, that irritates me. Do something.
Now, as you said, she just started in fight camp, and arguably her most well-rounded test to date in what's going to probably be a very emotional Cats and Gano.